Hi, welcome to Laura's View and Tarot 2. I am so glad you're here. Today's date is Monday, June 17th, 2024. Today I'm going to look a little farther afield for my tarot reading at the request of actually several of my subscribers who live in South Africa. They've recently had some elections, and the writers that contacted me were wondering if tarot had any insights or information about what changes might occur based on these elections. Now, I'm going to go to a compilation. I'm not going to read it in full to you and kind of try to condense what's going on so that if you, like me, were not really familiar with South African politics and what have you, you could at least have a basis for wondering, for knowing where this question came from and what's behind it. You see, the elections were notable in one particular instance here because they have a unified party system going on. In other words, no one of the major parties had a majority. So they agreed to join forces and work together. And that may actually cause some positive changes in South Africa. And the cards are going to tell us if that can be anticipated or not. Let me go to that compilation and I'll show you what I've got. Okay, here is a picture of the recently re-elected president of South Africa. And his name is, I'm probably going to butcher it, Cyril Ramaphosa. And he is part of the ANC party, the African National Congress, which has been in power since 1994. But it's been really controversial because there's been a lot of issues with infrastructure not being supported, maintained, what have you, and funds for that going hither and yon, just like they do in my country, and the government is lining their own pockets at the expense of the citizens, is what it sounds like. Now, so this one side, I got I went to a discussion site where this was being talked about, and one of them broke it down this way. It's going to be, the longer entry in my compilation, but it might be good for you to look at, talking about the four parties and mentioning which ones got aligned now to be work together. And hopefully there's going to be a little more accountability and maybe infrastructure support going on, as Mr. Ramaphosa will have to work with and account for his actions and funding for projects and what have you, because it's part of a combined joint effort. So that sounds really good and positive. So there's some things you can look at here talking about how this came about. I went to Al Jazeera News and got an article about, I wanted something from off my US shores to kind of give me a different perspective of what was going on. It really wasn't that different, but you can look at that. And then here was the cut and paste of the email from my viewer. Hello, Laura. Hope you're well. Please look into the new election outcomes in South Africa. The ANC was the leading party from 1996, since now the country suffers a lot with corrupt government and municipalities. This election was the biggest election after the post-apartheid election in 1996. The ANC lost their majority and are no longer the leading party. They need to make a coalition, which they did, with either the DA, the second strongest, more modest, or the EFF in line. My question is, and this is what we'll present to the tarot cards in just a moment, South Africa is one of the BRICS nations, but our election outcomes very uncertain for business and economic stability. Can you please look into your cards to see where this is headed? Anarchy or more economic stability for the people of South Africa? So that economic stability I'm gonna look at. I also went here, believe it or not, NPR occasionally does have something that seems to be readable and not too biased. And in this article from NPR, they actually interviewed a couple of Johannesburg residents about the water shortages, the rolling blackouts that are just part and parcel of life in South Africa these days. And so you would think that being a member of BRICS, with the economic stability that BRICS should have given them, if they hadn't overdone the lining of pockets, nepotism, and all the things that take away from building up a country for the citizens instead of building up your pocketbook for yourself. They should have really had a path to enviable affluence and infrastructure, seems to me, just looking on the outside in, as I'm doing today. So again, our question is going to be about this. What are these elections and this recent alliance of party members? What is that going to mean as far as economic stability and living conditions for South Africa, pardon me, moving forward? So the country of South Africa had some elections, and because there was no clear majority, and that was because this ANC party has lost groundswell support because of the things that citizens are being asked to live with, that, rolling blackouts, sometimes more than 12 hours a day with no electricity. And that means, besides just convenience, the water that may not be clean, they can't boil it to sterilize it. I mean, the problems go on and on. So let's just see, is this new alliance that's being formed in South Africa that includes several parties, is that going to help the economic stability and living conditions for South Africans moving forward? So let's see. I think we're going to get kind of something grim for the recent past and hopefully something brighter for the near future, but I'm not in charge of the cards. We'll find out together. I'm going to switch the camera. You can watch me finish the shuffle and laying out the cards, and we'll find out together what the universe wants us to know about the near future outlook for South Africa post-election. Okay, so South Africa, you've struggled so much post-apartheid, and it's a shame that people's self-interest stood in the way of becoming the shining beacon of what you could have been and should have been. Just like with my country, I have said, though, that even though we haven't lived up to the hype or the hope, it doesn't mean that we can't and we won't. So we're going to see what's going on with South Africa. Is this new, the accountability that's going to become inherent into this combined system, is it going to help living conditions and economic stability in South Africa? Let's find out. Okay, we've got a yes right away, guys. So viewers, I should say, because I had more than one right. You got a yes here. Now let's look and see if there's a few further insights and information from the card. Again, I said I was looking for something not too happy in the recent past. The Five of Cups is a card that indicates some sadness and possibly a turning point too. That's interesting. Okay, we've got another five showing up. Now, the thing about fives is those are temporary situations. Then let's see. So we've got, for those of you not watching but simply listening, we started off with the Ace of Wands. Clarifying that a little bit, it's the Page of Pentacles. Recent past, Five of Cups. Current situation is the Five of Wands. The future card, we've got our first major arcana with the Death card showing up. And it is the strongest insight card is going to be our Six of Wands and then Temperance. Okay, so even though with the Death card here, it's not looking bad at all with the Ace of Wands showing up in the Temperance. So what I get as I read these cards right now as they laid out. First of all, yeah, in the past, Mr. whatever, Cyril, the president of South Africa, shot himself in the foot. Okay, he lost his support because of taking care of self-interest, nepotism, things like that. And cronyism is how it's phrased sometimes here in the United States. So yeah, it's been a really tough time for the residents of South Africa, a lot of economic instability, and again, some just real human hardships with the water situation and the electricity situation that seems to be systemic and throughout the country. But we got a hard yes here with the Ace of Wands saying it's going to get better, guys. This is going to be an improvement, this coalition that was recently formed with the three parties, and the fact that those three parties aren't the most extreme of the parties that were in country. So that's going to help a lot. The Page of Pentacles showed up again, telling us a little more about that. Yes, I love that it showed up because the Page of Pentacles has very strong meanings of financial opportunity, reliability, a worthwhile effort, and that there's going to be some diligence to affecting these changes. So very hopeful these working together like this. Now here's the reality. In the current, we've got the Five of Wands. So it shows a little bit of infighting still going on. It's going to settle down though. It really is. And actually, as the near future card showing the Death card, this is actually a really positive card to show up in the near future because it's a transition card. It shows there's an ending of something here. And it's not so much a physical death as the fact that some of this cronyism and nepotism is going to be going away for the good of the country. I say that because on our strongest advice card is the Victory card of the Six of Wands. And on the other side of it is the Temperance card. So don't get your hopes up too high. There is going to be change. There's going to be living improvements. Post big event galactic on our that we're waiting on. So there is going to be some, but don't get your hopes up too high and understand that people have to do their part. So if there are calls for volunteers to help with some effort that does build up the infrastructure or what have you, please be prepared to do what you can to help things change direction. And also, if you were in some way thinking, well, everybody else benefits from whatever I should too, maybe don't go down that road. Take the high road and help your country. I'm going to get two more cards just to see if there's a couple of additional insights. Again, these cards now, the next two are going to be looking ahead, but not as impactful as this Victory card and the Temperance card. We've got the Judgment card and the Two of Cups. So it looks like these the new coalition is going to be able to come up with some agreements. And a part of that is going to be doing a little strong arming of the current administration that recently got reelected and having them face some music for some of their choices on where they directed funds and which programs they supported and that kind of thing. So, and maybe an end for them of, we sometimes joke that diversity, equity, and inclusion means didn't earn it. And maybe an end to the nepotism appointments actually typify that didn't earn it aspect. And moving forward, they can, people might need to work and produce to keep their job or get their funding or whatever. So that would be good. So yeah, there's going to be some collegial agreements. There's going to be some accounting, and it sounds like that was really well needed for South Africa. So let's recap. South Africa recently had an election. And while it just seemed like it was a simple re-election of their president, he had to form a coalition with other parties because he had lost support because of lack of progress on infrastructure support and economic stability and just a lot of accountability issues that we sometimes see with people that use positions of authority for personal gain or family gain. So it's not just the 46 crime family, it can happen in other countries as well. So anyway, we asked the cards, with this coalition factor now part of what's going to happen in South Africa moving forward, is it going to help the basic living conditions and economic stability for South Africa? We got an immediate hard yes on that with the Ace of Wands. So fabulous news there. And bolstering that even further, the clarifying card of Page of Pentacles talks about worthwhile effort, diligence, and financial responsibility. And once there is some financial responsibility, that's going to start making some changes because those people need access to water and power and basic human necessity needs. Absolutely. The support was lost by their own stupidity and cronyism. And this is the recent past card. It's been a tough time for South Africans. It really has. And it was tougher than it needed to be because people didn't put people first. They put themselves or their friends and family first. The infighting isn't quite over with. There's still going to be some infighting and some jockeying for position and power even now. So you can look forward to that, but because this is our current card. But again, fives are temporary situations. Things are going to settle down. Now, are they going to settle down to everybody's happiness? No. There's been some changes in the wind that are going to roll out. Absolutely. So, and you can figure who that might be involved in that. Those that, again, line their pockets. Okay. Put Uncle Joe in positions or whatever. Cronyism, nepotism. There's going to be some accounting for that. But in the near future, victory, improvement in economic stability and living conditions for the citizens of South Africa. Okay. Don't get your hopes up too high. It's not going to change overnight. It's not going to change easily. And those that just figured it was their right to have a certain percentage off the top or the bottom or whatever, they're going to be facing some judgment for that. So even though there's going to be some jockeying for position and power within this coalition, those that already had some and misused it are going to have a little bit of accounting for it. I didn't see a justice card, understand. This is a judgment card, which means having to face up to some past actions and decisions and moving forward, maybe with a little accountability for that. But overall, they're going to be able to work in agreement and put South Africa first, not family, friends, what have you. Let's leave the family, friends things for cell phone plans, guys, not for running countries. That's it for this video. I thank you so much for your time and your attention. And if you're a new subscriber, I welcome you. If you had to return as a subscriber, which happened, I welcome you back. And I thank you very much as we explore different topics that are relevant to today's world, whether they're political or metaphysical or health-wise or whatever it might be. Well, if it's current, we're probably going to take a look at it. So I thank you so much. By the way, if you notice I've got an open drawer back here, that's where my new kitten Nova, that usually is where the tarot claws reside. She has decided that's a fabulous hiding place and bed. So she's no longer running away when I reach in and pet her. She used to try to find a new hiding hole. So we're slowly getting her socialized and used to it. And if the energy on those tarot claws comforts her, I'm going to let her use it for a while. So, but the drawer's open so that she has to make a little contact with me in the course of using it. And that's why. Don't think I suddenly got the clutter bug and I'm not cleaning up after myself. I'm accommodating a new family member. And she needed some. She'd been through a lot. So until next time, if you're willing to receive it, I send you love, light, and I wish for you everything bright.